Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to Market Recap. I'm Dan Hodgman. It is Monday, March 22nd. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. We've got some opportunity here today. And before I kind of dive into that, one thing I try and do every day is I want to think about what's a lesson to take away from here. What's something we could learn? What's something that we can look at today and go, hey, that was something I should think about going forward. And a lot of times I talk about this idea of don't let yesterday affect today, right? Crude oil has been an outrageously volatile market for the last couple weeks, and it's leading to some big dollar moves where we're finding a lot of opportunity. And we're looking at $2, $3 moves being a regular thing in levels and areas that we can pretty comfortably define. Well, crude oil today really stayed into a channel of about 60 cents. Maybe a week ago, we were looking at 60 cents. Could have been a relatively okay risk because, you know what? We've got huge ranges in these markets. To take 60 cents in heat to catch $3, it's okay risk management, right? Well, today we got 60-cent ranges. And so the big thing that I want to stress today, and we'll touch on this a couple of times, is just don't allow yesterday to affect today. If you had a big day yesterday, doesn't mean you should come in today expecting the exact same things. But other than that, if you're trading crude oil and you saw the movement over in the equity markets, maybe that's where you got a little excited because equity markets took off to the upside here today. Little break at the end of the day, not a big deal from that. Maybe you got some short time frame profit taking. The one thing that I'm paying attention to in that one is strictly volume seems just a little bit lighter here today in those markets. Nasdaq just under 500,000 contracts traded, 1.2 over in the S&P 500. But man, we've got some good opportunities there. Gold kind of got on the same directional move, but really is staying well within kind of a channel that's been forming here for the last few days. Euro, after that gap open last night, well, it closed the gap prior to the open and just kept on going. We had that just take off to the upside. And the 10-year note, pretty quiet there, sideways. We're sitting on our hands there. Really, when I look at it, I can almost sitting here just looking at the chart go, all right, we ranged about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ticks up or down. And maybe we saw 1 to 2 moves in there. Really, really tight day. Had to be sniper-like on that one. And other news, coronavirus cases are surging in more than half U.S. We are seeing variants start to spread, so it's just something we want to keep our eyes on. Be patient, be cautious, be thinking about that. Vaccines are rolling out nicely. I know a lot of people are getting them. Siblings have gotten them. 2 of my siblings, I think. My parents are going to get theirs, and I'm trying to see when I can get mine. So we've got that going on. We got these things called NFTs. If you haven't looked into them, quite an interesting concept. Basically, it's a digital piece of artwork that is backed by blockchain or held by blockchain. It's kind of an interesting concept. So we're seeing a lot of that come out. And one of the prime or the big ones that was coming out was Jack Dorsey's tweet. His first ever tweets that sold for $2.9 million. I don't know who want to buy a picture of a tweet. But hey, whatever floats your boat. And then on the flip side, Jerome Powell basically saying cryptocurrency is not really useful for stores of value and that the Fed is going to move extremely slowly on it. So on that note, let's go take a look at some of these charts here, see what we got going on today, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, as always, we're going to start with our crude oil chart here. And like I said, we've been seeing these relatively large ranges here in crude oil. And today, inside day, here's what I was looking at. Yesterday's point of control, or Friday's point of control down here, 61.22. And yeah, Friday's swing high, value area high. That was the channel that this market really traded within. And we saw that throughout the overnight session as well. Once it accepted back in last night, that was the range, and that's what I'm looking to do. I'm going to trade the range defined until the market tells me otherwise, and this market did not tell us anything other than, hey, we have opportunities down at 20. We got opportunities up at 75. And that's what we're keeping our eyes on, and that's what this market did here today. But hey, this has been an extremely volatile market, and if you haven't seen, we got a new video came out. John just sat down with former funded trader Cindy, who works in the industry, and trades quite heavily in the crude oil market, and so maybe you can get some good insights from her. Oops. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500. So like we said, great opportunity all day here. Market really didn't look back once we opened up. It was a matter of just finding an area, finding a location to get in, and here's what I saw. This is where it caught my attention. We started last week at the end of the week in the overnight and Friday, that swing high from Friday. That to me is where I'm looking for an opportunity for something, whether I'm going short or long, but that's a location to look for an opportunity. We saw yields really sit back, not nearly as much pressure on the yields. That's a good sign for these equity markets, and they're working their way back towards those all-time highs. And obviously, little sell-off here at the end of the day, maybe some profit taken, nothing to nothing to worry about there. Next, the Nasdaq, pretty similar to the S&P 500 from the open, wasn't holding back. And this was a little bit more of a difficult market to get in. You were taking decent heat every time you wanted to look for an opportunity here. So it's a matter of using your time frame charts, finding a location that fits for you on some sort of pullback to say, here's my opportunity to get in and go with this trend. Because we do know, as the conversation in the route, the yields kind of backs off a little bit. It's a good sign for these markets, and these things are going to start to move higher, these equity markets. Next, let's go ahead and look at the gold. And so before I did anything, I wanted to sit down and kind of point this out with us. Let's go ahead and tighten things up a little bit so we can get an idea. But this market, for quite a bit of time, has been trading pretty range bound. We can find some extremes, and we can find some extremes to the high side and the low side. So this market today, once we opened up, we saw the sellers were exhausted. We had an idea that buyers may be running out. Where are we going to look for? If we have opportunity down here, we're at a prior day's value area high. Good opportunity to say, hey, I can look for a trade down in this area. So we've got some opportunity down here. Where are we looking for this thing to go? Well, maybe we're running to an SMA, which kind of aligns with Friday's point of control. Or are we going to look to keep this thing moving even higher? Are we going to wait? Here's the other thing. Are we going to wait to see if we accept within Friday's value area? So we've got a couple points. We can get in off the open, and we can run this thing up a little bit. We can get in on the initial pullback once we show that we're starting to accept into this value area. And this, to me, was my biggest opportunity when looking at gold today. Get in on that pullback after direction has been given to us. Get in on that pullback, low side of Friday's value, and all I'm looking to do is see if I can run it near high side of value from Friday. So to me, that was a really good opportunity for a trade here in the gold market. Next, let's go ahead and look at the euro. And euro gave us an opportunity off the open. We've been trending here since we opened up last night. We started that trend higher. We got a little bit of a pullback, but as soon as those equities open, everything got on the horse and started to take off to the upside. So where are we looking at for opportunity? It's going to be hard to want to be long after we saw 3 straight hours of decline, right? We're seeing a pullback that's lasting for 3 hours since this market opened up. It's going to be a little bit tough. So this is where we're looking for order flow. This is where we're trying to see where that market is playing. Where is our volume coming in? Where are we going to find opportunity? Here's what I saw. We pulled right down to value area from Friday. Just shy of it, I should say. Fell just shy and quickly started to take off. And that, to me, is where we're looking for opportunity. You want to start to recognize when that momentum or the sellers are getting exhausted, where are the buyers starting to come in? And that's when they started to come in and continued us in this directional move. Lastly, let's go ahead and look at the 10-year note, which, like I said, relatively tight day off the open. A little bit of a sell-off, but really stayed inside. If you found a trade here, great work. If not, hey, that's okay. This was a difficult trade for sure here today. All right, everybody. Those are our markets here today. I hope you guys have all had a spectacular day. Do want to say hello to everyone. Felix, level 2, Murph. Good to see you guys. Murph, looks like you had yourself a nice day. Bill, I had a day that could have turned out much worse. Patience paid. Outstanding. Patience is key. Tanya, good to see you. Magnum, Rudolph, level 2. Great to find level played out on CL. Absolutely. The real one. NQ, amazing. Almost got grinded out of the ES, but did not go on tilt. Good. Maybe you listened to the podcast that came out last Thursday. Okay, cool. Level 2, thank you. The tilt lesson was awesome. Trying to avoid tilting from now on. We've always got to keep that one in mind. And James, good to see you as well. Tilt is a thing. It happens. We all have been victim to it at some point in our trading career. We have to just learn from that and not allow it to happen again. It is a pretty common thing. Edward, good to see you as well. All right, so we touched on news. Stimulus checks, they are going out. If you haven't received it already, I know there's another batch coming on Wednesday, so they're going to continue to roll out there. Notes and rates with bonds. Everything's kind of down, but 10 years still up. Up above that 1.6, almost to 1.7, but not quite there. And the 30-year, 2.38, almost to 2.4. So we are seeing those things sell off a little bit here today. Now let's go ahead and talk about our big money-making stocks that we've bought here this year. Starting with Bitcoin. Bitcoin today, $56,000. So we're still in the money on that one by 22 grand. And our Airbnb stock, $195. We were up over 200, almost to $203 today. Sold off a little bit, but again, we're long that at 148. So we're sitting pretty on both of these right now. I'd say good picks by us. Speaking of stocks, Tesla down a little bit, 670. Tesla's finally kind of calming down. Not this out of control wild animal it was for so long. GameStop, on the other hand, continues to just hold up there at these high prices. $195 right now, or $194.49 if we're going to be specific. And then lastly, VIX. Saw a little pop here today. Refresh this thing. Here we go. Oh, that's my problem. I had it on the 5-day. VIX is on a steady decline still. No surprise there. Stocks move higher. VIX tends to move lower. They tend to be inversely correlated. So we are now back below 20. We're at 1906 on the VIX. This week, lots going on with economic releases. Tomorrow, things to be paying attention to. 9 a.m. Central Time. New home sales. Jerome Powell will be speaking at 11 a.m. Central Time. And a lot more people will be speaking all day tomorrow. Auction-wise, I am just seeing one that we want to pay attention to. Might be the 2-year note auction, but still a lot more coming out throughout the rest of this week. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of maybe some good volatility, maybe some things shaking up, and obviously keep an eye on the news. What else could happen? I'll be kind of looking closer at these coronavirus outbreaks with the variant strains coming in, and how is that going to affect things. It's been a year since we had everything started to spill over. Don't want to see that one again. And then lastly, state and history. Not a whole lot, but one that I just find interesting. On this date in 1765, we had the Stamp Act imposed here on American colonies. Gotta love taxes, right? And I think I had one more. Yes. Actually, I got two for us. 1894. First ever Stanley Cup championship was played back in 1894. Lord Stanley Cup, as they called it. In 1933, FDR re-legalized the sale of beer and wine. On that note, that's what I've got for us here today. Hope you guys all have a spectacular day. Look forward to seeing you guys back in the markets tomorrow. John will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands, trade smart, and trade well. Look forward to seeing you guys in the markets. Take care, everybody.